just goes right over your ear. Those two pieces go over your ear. You might have to adjust a little bit. And then this piece, you have to yell right into. Well, you don't have to yell into it, but you have to talk loud enough so you can hear yourself through the earpiece. If you talk really quiet, it won't pick it up. But if you talk into it, then it will pick it up. All right. Can you talk a little bit so I can make sure you're engaged?
Hello?
Yep, that's good. All right, so what we do next is what we call a radio check, okay? And we're going to check our radios. Can you hear?
Mm-mm.
I can hear.
Okay. Can you hear good or no? How about now? Can you hear?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're going to do what's called a radio check. So we're going to check these radios. So we're going to, I like to say the W's, okay? And that's who we're talking to, and then who we are and what we want. Okay, so we're on COM 1, and we're set here with the proper frequency. So we're going to go ahead and do that radio check.
It keeps cutting out.
Keeps cutting in and out?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. It might just be that headset too. Let's see here. How's that? Is it sound all right or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Griffith Unicom, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie. Radio check, please.
Loud and clear.
Thank you very much. All right, and then this, whenever we're approaching the runway, when you see this solid line like this, we always hold short of the solid line. Never cross over the solid line until either A, you've gotten clearance to, or B, you've made your announcement and made sure the runway is clear, okay? So that's something that we always want to do. The next thing that we're going to want to take into consideration is is our ground check. After we've done our deering taxi, now we're going to do our ground check. That means we're going to set our brakes, so go ahead and hold your brakes in on your toes. So you push forward on the toes, right like that, to make sure that the brakes are in. Then we're going to bring the throttle up to 200, to 20, right there, 2,000 RPMs. So we're set there. Then we're going to do what's called a mag check, and we do this before every takeoff. We're going to click it twice to the left, so 1, 2. We get a drop in RPM. See where it used to be at 20? Mm-hmm. Now it's below the 20. That's good. Then we bring it back up, and we get both. Now it's back up to 20, see? Then we're going to go 1 click to the left. We get the drop in RPM, and then back to our 20. So both. So that checks out. If one of those drop drastically, or if they didn't drop at all, then you're going to want to not take off, and you're going to want to go back, taxi back, and see what's going on with your airplane, okay? So then we're going to check our vacuum, and that's right over here. So gyro suction, and the gyro is going to be controlling these instruments here. Your directional gyro, your attitude indicator, and then we also have an electric driven on the gyro of the turn coordinator, which isn't part of the suction though. Okay, and then we check our oil temperature, pressure. Our fuel pump is off, so we make sure that that's good. And our air conditioner check, we don't have that. Alternator, turn, landing lights on, off, and we're going to check this to make sure that this right here jumps a little bit. So we'll turn our landing lights on, off, see how it jumps. It's kind of jumping a little bit all the time, but it kind of gives you that check of that. You can see how it jumps up when you turn on all that because it's drawing. So that means that it is working because it's drawing that out. And then we'll check our carb heat. Our carb heat is right over here. So we go ahead and turn that down there. We see the drop in RPM again. And then carb heat's back off. All right. And then throttle back to idle. So we'll go bring it back to 1,000. Now before takeoff, we were going to want our master switch on. Flight instruments check, fuel selector, proper tank. Electric fuel pump will come on. Our landing light will come on. And then engine gauges check. Our vacuum electric check. Circuit breakers check. Carb heat off. Seat back in erect. Mixture set. Primer in and locked. Belt, harness, fastens, adjust. Empty seat belts. Snug. Flap set. Trim tab set. Control free and correct. So we make sure that we're all free and correct here. So just check these to make sure that they're working right. And forward on this, all good that way. Okay. And doors latch, air conditioner is off, transponder is set. So we're going to go ahead and set that right now to Alt. Okay. And it's squawking 1200, which is VFR. Parking brakes off. DG check on runway and mixture rich. Okay. So we're all set that way. In a normal takeoff, we're going to have flap set, trim set, throttle full forward, accelerate to 45 to 55. So once we get to 45 to 55 right in here, Then we're going to just put a little bit of back pressure, rotate, and climb out. And then we're going to accelerate up to 80, so right up to there, and we're going to climb out at VY, which is 80. 79, but it's hard to see the 79 on there, so just bring it to 80. All right, and that will be our normal takeoff. Any questions?
No.
Okay, then I'm going to make our announcement. You're all good back there? Okay. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, departing runway 26, Griffith. Okay, so we're good that way. And we're going to just check again, even though we announced on the radio, we're going to want to double check and make sure, unplug myself, and make sure that that nobody else is up in the air that maybe isn't on the radio. So we'll check clear on the right, then we'll check clear on the left. See any other airplanes out there? I don't. All right, so landing light comes on, fuel pump comes on. We'll make sure we're rich, and I want you to go ahead, put your left hand right there, and then bring your right hand right here. And I'm going to use the lower part. So I want your hands on the controls, and I'm going to be right along with you. So you don't have to worry about anything. And if I ever say hands off, that means just put your hands in your laps, and I have the airplane. Or if I say I have the airplane, just go ahead and put your hands right here, take your feet off the pedals, and that means that I just want complete control of the airplane. Otherwise, keep that hand there, keep that hand right on the throttle, and we're good to go. All right, when I come out here, when I'm taxiing out like this, I like to do, before takeoff, I like to do what's called a four-flow check. All right, and what we're checking, it is our windsock for wind direction. We're checking our directional gyro, making sure that we're taking off on the right runway. So wind direction, directional gyro, our direction, and then we want to check for traffic and clouds. All right, clouds are about 3,000, traffic's clear. Our wind is as much down the runway as it can, a little bit out of the northwest. Okay, so we'll have a little bit of crab into that wind once we lift off, okay? So we're set to go. All right, so left hand on the yoke and right hand on the throttle, and we're fully advancing. Our airspeed's coming alive. And we got our 50, 53, lift the nose wheel, and then it slightly comes down as we climb out at VY. All right. So we've got our 80 now, so we're just going to go ahead and climb out at that 80. Once we get to about 1,200 feet, we're going to make a turn to the left, which is turn out to the south. And you can see Chicago up there to the northwest. Looking good. All right, we're coming in at 1,200, so let's go ahead and initiate a turn to the left. So how are we going to do that? What we're going to do is we're going to start it with our ailerons. We just roll right into that turn, and then we just keep the ball in the center. So if the ball's like out like that, we just push a little bit of left rudder pedal, and then that keeps it right in the center. It keeps us in a nice coordinated turn out to the south. See how we do that?
Yes.
And then we're controlling our airspeed by pitch right now, because we got full power in. Pitch puts power because of performance, so our full power's in, and then we're controlling that. And now if we wanted to go a little faster, the way we would have to do that is just lower our nose slightly, and we can pick up a little bit more airspeed. But then we're going to climb slower. See how we're climbing at about 600 to 700 feet a minute? Now we're climbing at about 400 to 500 feet a minute. So if we want to get a better climb rate, then we'll just go ahead and pitch the nose back up to the 80. So we're climbing out at VY again, and now look, we're climbing at 1,000 feet a minute. Okay? So depending on what kind of performance we want, we're going to pitch the airplane to different levels. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, departing pattern to the south. Griffith. Alright, we're at 2,000, so we're just going to go ahead and level off, and we can bring that throttle back to about 24 right in there, because we're not in a rush to go anywhere. Alright. Anywhere in particular you want to go see? We're crossing over 30 right now. If you wanted to head towards the mall, where would you go? That's 30 right there. You see 30 the highway?
Yeah.
Okay, how about we start turning out to the east? So we'll go ahead and make a turn to the east. You've got the airplane. You can actually put this hand just right down here, like nothing. Our power is set, so we're good that way. I can turn the fuel pump off, so we're good that way. And then we're gonna go ahead and turn to the left. So how would we do that? Just go ahead and take your ailerons like this and roll into a turn to the left. And then once you're rolled into that turn, see how the airplane wants to do what you're telling it to do? It rolls in and now it's level. It'll stay in that turn until you tell it to come out of the turn now. Okay? So we'll just stay right in that turn, right around to the left. And if we start climbing when we don't want to, then what do we do to do that? We could just push the nose slightly down and we'll get into that descent as well. And then if it's pushing on us at all, our trim tab is right down here in between us, and that'll let the nose be trimmed down or up. So if we're getting a lot of pressure where we're having to push forward a whole lot, then what we can do is just trim that so that we don't have all that pressure pushing us either up or down or so on. Alright, and then we're headed towards the mall area, so we'll just go ahead and level the wings off. So in regular flight, we just fly along just like this in the regular flight. We just keep the wings level, and then we're good to go that way. And we just point towards where we want to go, and then we're good. Now right now we're in a turn, so what are we going to do? We just put some left aileron in like that, left yoke, lower that left wing, and then we're not in that turn anymore. See that? And then we're staying outside the airplane most of the time. We glance in at our instruments every once in a while, but really we're mostly outside the airplane, just looking around, checking for traffic, making sure everything's looking good that way. And then if we want to hold our altitude, if we know we're in a descent, then we'll just go ahead and pick the nose up slightly, and that'll keep us level. And then if we want to head over there, if you want to head over towards the mall, then just start into that turn slightly. So you bring your nose around to where you want it to go there, and then start heading right towards where you want to go. And then, yep, just like that. We got a little high, so just pitch that nose slightly down, nothing. It's all little corrections. See how if you just put a little correction in, the airplane responds pretty quickly to what you want it to do. And that's 30-65 right there. So you can kind of start picking out some of the areas that look a little more familiar to you, I bet. What do you think? You're flying the airplane. She's doing a pretty good job, eh?
Yep.
Alright, if we want to start heading up towards Lake Michigan, what we could do is just start rolling into that turn right to the north. So right here we have this, we're going east, and we can bring the nose of the airplane right there to the end, or just look out and head towards the lake. So go ahead and just go into that turn as best you can. Good job. Coming right around on your heading. And now that we're on a north heading, we can go ahead and turn right around to a west heading. Start heading west. So that would be right to the left again. Just like that. Then our wings come in level as we come in on a west heading. So just bring our wings right around like that. Boom. And then let's pitch our nose back down towards the horizon. We're seeing a lot of sky. That means we're climbing a lot. So we just pitch that nose down till we can see the horizon there. Just like that. There we go. And then level those wings off so we're headed west again. Usually we could just pick like a road or something in front of us that's going west. That helps us out a lot. You doing all right back there?
Yep.
Alrighty. Alright, you see Cedar Lake right over there? It's way up to our southwest, I guess. Go ahead and start a turn to the south, and then I'll tell you when to come out on your heading. We're probably going to be on a heading of about 210 or 220 right in that area. But we'll just look and see, because the best way to fly is keeping yourself outside the airplane, looking around.
My leg's on fire.
Then we'll go ahead and level our wings off here. That's it. And we'll just keep our eyes outside the airplane and looking right at it and just fly right towards it. And we'll just hold that 2000 just like you're doing. Kind of get a feel for what it does, aren't you? Kind of, okay, how you pitch for it and how you can correct. Making all those little corrections is really what makes you a good pilot. All these roads that are running like this, those run west and east. And then the roads right like this that you see are all running north and south. And then what we can do next is we can do just a complete churn. So follow along with me on the controls here. We're going to do a complete 360 churn, just a standard rate. So we'll be right about that level, but I don't want you to staring at that. I want you to look just out at the horizon. So we'll just roll into our churn, and we're using our ailerons and our rudder pedal. So we're keeping that ball right in the center, and we're just doing a nice standard rate churn here. Okay? And we're looking outside the airplane, seeing what it looks like when we're just in a nice standard rate churn like this. Okay?
Yeah.
See how we just stay right in that churn? We can do a complete circle right there. And you look out the window there, everything looks good, look into the front, and just keep the horizon looking the same. See how we haven't lost or gained any altitude in the churn completely? And that's because we're making those little adjustments. It's wanting to push us up or it's wanting to push us down there, but we're just making those little adjustments, a little bit of back pressure here because it's trying to make us lose some altitude there, and then coming right around on our heading. Okay? And then once we do that, we can go ahead and we're on our west heading again, and we can just roll right into one to the right. So we'll just roll right into a turn to the right. Here, nice standard rate churn. And then looking outside the airplane, seeing what we've got going on. Right now, it's wanting to climb a little bit, so we'll have a little bit less back pressure on the elevator. We're coming right around here in our churn. And nice and steady there, keeping the ball in the center, keeping it coordinated. Looking outside the airplane, looking for any other traffic, other airplanes, but then also looking at our sight picture of what we look like when we're in a nice standard rate churn. So we're in this nice standard rate churn all the way around. Until we're right back at a west heading again. And then we just roll out of that churn. Just like that. Alright, now you go ahead and do one by yourself. Just complete 360. So we're on a west heading, and we're just going to make a complete churn all the way around. And you're going to have to use a little bit of rudder pedal, so get your feet on the pedals there, because we're a little bit left on that left rudder pedal there. Okay, pick up the nose a little bit, because we're in a dive. So just, when we do that, we just pull back on the yoke. See that? How we just pull back on the yoke, and it brings our nose right back up?
Yeah.
And then just stay right in that churn. Right there, see? We're looking outside the airplane, looking at that sight picture, seeing what it's like. See how we've seen a lot of ground? That means we're in a descent, so pull back on that yoke. Go ahead and pull back on the yoke. Pull back on it. Just give it a pull. There we go, just like that. And now see how our sight pictures, we're seeing a lot more sky. Now we're at our altitude that we want to be, so we can just lower that nose down a little bit. So just put that correction in. And then keep that churn coming in. Doing a good job, probably a little bit more left rudder pedal. And then rolling out on the west heading. Roll out on the west heading. Alright, we got to roll out so we come out of the churn. Right like that, yep, there we go. All right, and then we'll go ahead and turn to the north. So back up towards the lake. All right, we're seeing a lot of ground, so what are we going to want to do?
Okay.
We're going to want to pull up, pull back, pull back. There we go. All right, when we see all that ground like that, we want to pull back on the yoke, because that's what's going to, when our nose is pitched up, we're climbing, right? But if it's pitched down towards the ground, that means we're descending. And we don't want to descend all the way into the ground, right? At least I don't want to, not today. I like life a lot. So anyway, so we want to pitch up, all right? So when we want to climb, pitch up is pull back. When we want to pitch down, it's forward and down, see? So forward brings us down, back brings us up, okay? And then for just straight and level flight, just keep it nice and steady, looking straight forward there, all right? Okay, go ahead and grab that checklist and read the before landing checklist part. So here's before taxi, takeoff, we'll go here, and just read this part right here. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 02 Charlie, 5 nautical miles to the south, inbound for landing, runway 26, Griffith. Go ahead and read it.
Out loud?
Yep.
All right, before landing, seatbelts, harness check.
All right, you're buckled up back there still. Good to go there. All right.
Fuel pump on.
All right, fuel pump's coming on.
Fuel selector, fullest tank.
All right, we're good that way.
Mixture set.
Mixture set.
Engine gauges.
All in the green. Green, green, green.
Check.
Good. All check.
Landing light.
Is on.
Flaps.
We'll put those on when we're on base to final.
Air conditioner.
Good to go. All right, and you can go ahead and put that right in the pocket. Now, our pattern altitude for landing at Griffith is 1600. So we're going to want to go ahead and start a descent down to 1600. So you follow along on the controls with me. One hand on the throttle, one hand on there. So once we're using inputs with our throttle and everything, we always keep our hands on the controls most of the time. When we're in straight and level flight, we don't have to the entire time. That's why we had our hand off the throttle there. But on takeoff, landings, all of that, you're going to want to be very responsive on your controls. So you just feel along with me. I'm underneath here, so you can actually grab right onto that, and I'll tell you if I need the control completely to myself. And we'll just descend down to 1600, and then we're also slowing down when we get in the pattern so that we can go ahead and get ourselves set up. A good pattern makes for a good landing. So what we're doing right now is we're setting up for a left downwind for runway 26. So we're coming in, and then we're going to go ahead and turn downwind for the runway that we want to land on. Since we have a little bit of winds out of the north, we're actually going to have to crab into that wind a little bit, which our nose will actually be faced slightly north versus being completely east, so that we don't get blown away from our airport. All right, so we're in our left downwind, so I'm going to make our announcement. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, left downwind runway 26, Griffith. All right. Then once we get adjacent to the end of the runway, we're going to bring the power back, and then we're going to go ahead and start our descent down and in. So we're looking out here, we're seeing our runway, everything's looking good that way. We're looking for traffic, making sure nobody's coming in to land on our runway. All right. And then once we get adjacent to the
traffic, citation 525 hotel, about an 8-mile final for runway 34.
Once we get adjacent to the end of the runway, we'll just bring that power back and start a descent down and in. Once we get at about a 45, so we're looking over here at our runway here, we look and we see the 45 there, we're going to turn our base. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, left base, runway 26, Griffith. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and pull on it 10 degrees of flaps. So right here, we pull back the first notch. All right, then we're watching our airspeed there, making sure that we're good on that as well. We want to make sure we're in that white arc before we put on any flaps. Then we're checking out here, making sure that we're clear on traffic over here. So we're set that way. And then checking over here at our runway, and then we're going to go ahead and start our turn. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, base to final, runway 26, full stop landing. Griffith. All right. And then, as we're coming in final, we'll go ahead and put our 20 degrees of flaps on. Go ahead and trim a little bit so we don't have all that back pressure there. Then we'll be coming in at about 70. Lining right up there with the runway. And we have our feet on the pedals. We have one hand on the yoke and one hand on the throttle. Alright, and then we have our aim point, which is those numbers there. And we just start our descent down and in on them. Nice, stabilized approach.
KCC traffic, citation 525, hotel, 4 mile final, runway 34.
Alright, now we have power all the way back, and we're just coming in for our landing. Want to put it down right in the center, and then once we're in our flare, we just go ahead and hold it off and touch down. Then we just let the airplane kind of roll out here, and then we'll start to apply brakes in the toes, nice and steady, and both of them at the same time. We don't want to cram on one brake without the other, or else we'll turn off the runway. We want to keep ourselves right in the center of the runway. All right, and then I'm going to make our announcement that we're going to back taxi. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, back taxi runway 26, Griffith. All right, and then we'll go ahead and initiate our turn in here. So see how I use that rudder pedal there to turn us? I want you to go ahead and taxi us right down the center of the runway back. I got the flaps up, fuel pumps off, and then you go ahead and bring us right in the center of the runway. Go ahead a little bit more right rudder pedal to bring us in the center. There we go. See how we move our feet like that? Go ahead and a little bit left now. Kind of have to do a little dance on the pedals. Kind of dance back and forth on them to keep them right where you want them. Yeah, you have to always be putting those little corrections in. That's how you fly. Little corrections all the time. What do you think?
It's fun.
Awesome. You'll be a pilot in no time, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn, but it is rewarding too. It's a process, you know. You might have some struggles, some hard times, but then you also have the times when, you know, you learn to land on your own. You learn to just follow that yellow line right around. And you learn more and more, and every lesson you start gaining more and more experience and gaining more confidence in it. Griffith traffic, this is Piper Warrior 2102 Charlie, clear of runway 26, Griffith. Alright, I have the airplane now. I'll go ahead and taxi it up here to park it. If you run into anything, I want it to be my fault, not yours.